Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to another live stream here with the Everyday Growth Advisors Monday. Just wanted to come in here and give you guys an update on things. My back is much better, obviously. I had a little bit of a scare the past couple of days. Had to end up going to the emergency room because I thought it was like a disc pain, and it ended up being like a pulled rhomboid muscle. So that was not fun. But all in all, I'm okay, and that was sorted out. Uh, Continuing on from last week, where we spoke about on Wednesday, we had a very clear idea of which sectors we were focusing on, and I, mentioned that utilities was one of the sectors that had been running first, which we caught a really nice bag on, and then the next sector after that was consumer staples, right? Which is another sector that we saw inflows in that has popped ever since then. And the third I was mentioning was healthcare, which didn't pop yet, but then on Thursday and Friday made a really nice move to the upside, right? Almost went from pretty much this area to up here, right? So that was a little bit of a nice trade that we took on Moderna this past week. Pretty straightforward trade. I can show it to you guys. So was coming out of this little downtrend, popped up, and after it popped up, it kind of made a attempt to break through the 23.6. So that was a nice move on Moderna that after breaking out and retesting previous liquidity here. In my opinion, this was a pretty straightforward long position after the bounce, which was here, to have that upward move here. So how do you manage this position if you're in it? Obviously take some of your profits here. I was at 40% already up here. Wait for the pullback if there is any, and it's probably going to pull to take out some liquidity here, and then we can play the next run up, because this is just coming out from a downtrend, and so there's quite a bit more room for this to go to the upside. However, remember, you have to be non-biased. So if Moderna fails here and comes all the way back down to go below 115, then this structure here is broken, and this is no longer a upper or breakout setup. So that's the way I look at this, very straightforward. Let's look at the S&P 500. So if you realize, Moderna was one of the setups we spoke about last week, and that was paid out really nicely. Actually, last week we had 4 out of 4 setups, guys. It was quite a good week. Let me show you. So this is part of the premium Discord. And we had 4 trades. We had, it started here, Moderna, Roku, 67 calls. These flew right off the bat, right? Almost 80%. And then Tesla, we caught a Tesla move as well. And then Roku, sick move, crazy move. Robinhood, which was trading like at $18 when we entered. And then we saw a lot of flow for $20 plus flow. Look at how straightforward that was, all on the outside, right? And then Tesla paid 60%. We had another one with Moderna and Robinhood then paying out slowly. And then eventually Robinhood closed above $20, right? So all in all, it was a great week. We had 4 trades and all 4 profitable. So it was a great week. Now, this week, and by the way, if you have any questions, comments, you want to ask me to do a ticker breakdown, please go ahead and drop it in the chat right now. But this week we are focused on a very simple concept, which is the market needs to pull back in order to create some liquidity. And I think that this is an opportunistic moment to take a potential hedge only if we can come back and we can tap some of this liquidity up here at 5365. I'm looking for the S&P 500 to extend to that level potentially, right? Come back here, pull some liquidity, extend, and then ultimately reject further down. So that might result in a little wave down. But right now, these pullbacks are, being bought into. And so the long-term trend here is still bullish with snappy pullbacks. And those pullbacks are happening intraday. So you have to be really careful. NASDAQ is a similar situation. I actually need to draw new fibs on this. So let's just do that right now. But the NASDAQ has a pretty simple plan here. And that's, once again, 18,500. That's one level, which is going to kind of join this border. And then the 61.8 golden extension, which is up here. So those are the two levels. Liquidity backtest is going to be back at 18,420. This whole area has been buying up quite nicely. And backup liquidity is at around 18.3. And then further back down from there, you have 18,000 as liquidity. Now, interestingly enough, look at the 10-year yield here. Okay. One thing that I want to point out is that if you look at the 10-year yield, it looks like we broke trend, okay? It looks like we broke trend if you look at it. And this is on your 10-year bond, okay? But when you go into TLT, which is the 20-plus year bond, that was the yield, this is the bond. So two separate charts, okay? When you go into TLT, which is the bond itself, you'll realize that the bond price didn't actually fully clear. It didn't clear. So which one is telling the lie is the question. And my bet is always to look at the bond rather than the yield, right? Because I rather look at what the bond is trading at and make a deduction from there rather than the yield on the 10-year bond. So from my perspective, on TLH and TLT, these two are still not out of the woods and being shorted. And you can see the market's reaction here. Actually, a lot of the bullishness that we saw on Friday is kind of half-baked because the CPI that came out last week made everybody a little too excited. And the bond market was like, meh, not really. We don't really see the Fed buying bonds yet. Of course, they had like a little bounce relief rally, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like the bond market has bought the idea that the Fed is going to cut interest rates. This is my observation right now, which may change, okay? But when bonds start to actually aggressively get bid up is where I would be, more certain about where the rates are going to go. Small caps, still hovering around this area. Once again, waiting, right? It's just waiting on those yields to come down. What's up, man? How's it going? Chamooks. Howdy. So now moving into the next part, dollar index. Dollar index also did not break trend, right? Still within trend, and if this continues to bounce, dollar index goes up. It's going to put pressure on equities or all US denominated instruments, right? And if you look at the VIX crashed, right? Super volume crash. And that's going to take some time to build up as well. Now, I like the idea of a potential hedge on the S&P 500 as long as we can rally a little bit more, just a little bit more. I want to see us go closer to around 5365, which is the 23.6 extension here. As for the short position, I would like to enter short only below around 52.57 for a swing position. That would mean that we would come back here, tap all this liquidity, and then if we're not able to get a bounce and continue to reject, then I'd be happy to take that short position. But other than that, this is still bullish looking to me, right? The trend is your friend. Don't try to push it. Now, here are sectors that I'm interested in because every sector is mostly overbought, but energy is one of the sectors that has a nice bounce. as of last week. Look at all these lower wicks on these candles on the daily. And if you go into the 4-hour, you'll start to see that XLE looks like it's broken out, okay? Now, I only want XLE above $95 bounce. What does that mean? I only want a positioning where we break out, come back down, establish this as new demand, and then start moving out further. That's the only way I will play this breakout. I don't want to be stuck in this and then being faked out and then causing myself to feel like an idiot for taking the bullish play when this is a bearish fake out, okay? So I'll wait for that confirmation before I take it, and that's you know, my main thesis with this. If it rejects, obviously you play the other way, but this is a sector I'm looking at. Now, XLF, financials. This has been a bit long for the third consecutive week by hedge funds, okay? And you guys know how I feel about that. When hedge funds get involved in the mix, it's usually overcrowded, and then the trade typically goes the opposite direction. So I actually do like the idea of potentially fading financials if the market looks weak, okay? On market weakness, when we have like reversal, selling strength, remember, like this, where we are right now, it could go sideways for a little while, you know? You could build this sideways, like it could go further down sideways. The S&P 500 can take a while to make a move here. But until and unless we don't have one of those like intraday like sell-offs, then I'm not really that interested to play XLF short, okay? Healthcare, still one of the sectors that are doing well. Now, apart from these two sectors, the other one that I'm looking for a short position is now utilities, okay? The same sector that we played on the way up is the same sector that I want to take a chance at in shorting now. Some $70 puts would be nice for maybe about 2-3 months out. That's a beautiful swing trade that you can take if you don't want to play individual names. If you want to play the individual name, then just play NEE. This is the biggest part of the holding. You can go for some $70 puts here, right? And just hope that it gets around $72, which is perfect, right? You don't need it to move that much because the gamma acceleration is going to work. So I like those as thematic ideas. Now Tesla, which I know all of you will be wondering about. Tesla is one of those that is quite interesting. So Tesla's price action suggests that it wants to make a pop to the upside, but its current price path suggests that it might go liquidity hunting down here before making that move to the upside. So I'm looking for a move like that potentially. That's the bearish bounce idea. And then if we're looking for a bullish play, it has to break out of 185 and form some kind of support here to go up into the 200s. So that's how I'm looking at this play. Really simple. I will only take it if the odds are in my favor. And yeah, I'm gonna post the rest of these ideas in the Discord. So make sure you're a part of the community. If you're not, then what you're waiting for? Link is in the description below. And that's all I have for you guys today. If you have no questions or chart like breakdowns that you require, I'm gonna end the stream. So if you have any requests or questions or need help with anything, want to ask a question, what my favorite soda is or what my imaginary dog's name is, go ahead. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I'm gonna end the stream here, and I'll see y'all back on Wednesday for another one. So take care in the meantime, peace out, and see ya.